Hello, all you positive heads out there. It's so good to be back with all you beautiful reflections of the one source consciousness that creates and animates all things. If you're new to this podcast, of course, we're super happy to have you here. And if you've been listening and enjoying for a while, I would be super grateful if you would please take a moment to give us a review on Apple Podcasts. It's one of the best and simplest ways to pay it forward and help others find the show so that they too can tap into the powerful perspectives and positive vibrations we are collectively emanating. The other unique and magical way to share this show is by sending any friends you think would benefit from listening to this podcast our Game with the Universe link at positivehead.com/game. Also listed in the show notes, which will serve them up a quote-unquote random episode when they click it. Just instruct them before clicking the link to close their eyes for a moment and sincerely ask the universe to queue up the episode that contains the insight and perspectives that they most need to hear at this point in their life journey, and then click to listen to whatever episode is synchronistically served up to them. I have heard time and time again from people about the incredible results they received playing the game. So just tell your friends magical results are guaranteed or their karma back.
All right, all you positive heads, welcome back. Thanks so much for joining me today. Today, I realized that last week I ended both shows talking about doubt. And so I thought that was a great topic to get into today. So that's what we're going to talk about. But before we do, I wanted to remind anyone in the Phoenix area, or let you know if you haven't heard yet, that I am doing a group past life regression workshop this Saturday, the 23rd, at Abundant Space in Scottsdale. Starting at 4 p.m., goes till 5:30 p.m. And if you're local, I would love to see you there. There's a Facebook event. You can check it out there. So I wanted to talk about doubt today because I was thinking about all the different ways that we doubt. We doubt ourselves. We doubt our intuition. We doubt our choices. We doubt our connection to our higher self. We doubt that we are even fractals of the one infinite source. It's like we know it, but there's this doubt in us because it seems as though the reality around us tells us differently. But the only reason it seems that way is because we're doubting. That's the trip about it. If we knew, really believed, that we were great and powerful creators, because we are, but if we truly believed it in every moment, life would look a whole lot different. So think about where doubt gets us. And actually, I think doubt is very beneficial to us in a lot of ways. It really shows us the contrast. It shows us that we're not necessarily clear. And when we see that we're not necessarily clear, that's great, because at least then we are aware that we're not clear. That's a far cry from being completely oblivious, walking around having no clue as to what's going on. So perfect. Let's not beat ourselves up for not being totally clear. Let's be proud of ourselves, pat us on the back, praise our wins for being at least aware that our vibration isn't quite right, that our vibration isn't completely in alignment with our true inner being. Because that's what's happening when we're doubting. When we doubt, we're actually denying all of the infinite possibilities that are available to us, that are surrounding us, that are in our field. It's a resistance to it. Not on purpose, obviously. It's hard because we've all been so programmed. And that's not by accident. We are such powerful beings that there are those that don't want us to know that throughout the ages. There's a reason why witches were burned and books were burned and people were tortured for their knowledge because of this power. The power of creation, the power that we are. We are all little creators, all fractals of source, all co-creators. We have infinite power at our disposal. So what makes us doubt? I think that's the beauty and the pitfall at the same time of the human mind. Because in this human vessel, we feel like we're limited. We feel like the reality that we see is the real reality. But outside of this human vessel, our soul knows otherwise. And that's the part of us that has this infinite power that we have access to. It's just that human side of us that says, I don't know about that. Doesn't quite seem like that in real life. What is real life? Real life is whatever you create it to be. So if we're doubting everything, then we're just creating what it is that we're doubting. If we're doubting in our abundance and all we're seeing is our lack, then we're creating more lack. We just build up more and more resistance by showering that attention, that negative attention to it. So what if, instead of doubting in our infinite potential, we claim it, we understand it, we own it. We recognize our oneness. We become like Neo in the Matrix. I was thinking about this today because, for example, there's things in life that we doubt that are normal to doubt, that would keep us safe, like cliff jumping. Say you had to jump from one cliff to another, and there was like a 10-foot jump, but a 20-foot or a 200-foot drop. So really dangerous, like you could die if you don't make that jump. So to have a doubt about that is going to keep you safe. But if, on the other hand, you were being chased by someone or something that was going to kill you, and you had to make that jump, doubting that you could would surely mean that you were going to fall and die. So you would have to become like Neo in that moment and just know that you could do it. Despite all odds, despite what it looks like, doesn't matter. I can do this. I know I can, because I have infinite power. Because I am the creator. I can make this jump. And without that knowing, it doesn't happen. So I think we need to take that into our daily lives in every little thing. Go into situations with an absolute knowing, I got this. Without doubting ourselves, without doubting our intuition, without doubting our own innate healing capability. We have so much power, it's ridiculous what we can do. We just got to stop doubting it. We have to know with every fiber in our being that that is the truth. And know that we can do anything that we set our minds to. We didn't come here to be diminished in our power. We came here to recognize our power, to recognize that we are the creators, that we decide, we have the free will, we decide what we want, and we can allow ourselves to receive all of it. There is immense amounts of abundance and love and joy for us to receive. And it really just comes down to paying attention to how we feel in each and every moment. Do the choices that we're making, the things that we are saying, the actions that we are doing, do they feel good? If they feel good, then we're doing the right thing. If it doesn't feel good, well, that'll show you where your resistance is. And the creation is always mirroring to us where we are. So if we remember and reclaim our awareness that we are source, that we are powerful, creation has to mirror that to us. It just has to. That's the laws. Speaking of laws and the law of attraction, I found a really good Abraham clip about this. Let's take a listen.
Good evening. It is nice to have an opportunity to visit. You are knowing what you are wanting? Somewhat. You are understanding that you are extensions of source energy. The contrast into which you are born here in this physical environment serves you enormously well, and you know that from your broader non-physical perspective, while sometimes you don't know it so much from your physical perspective. Sometimes we think you would like to be rid of the contrast. There is nothing that you need to do. There is nothing that you should be doing that you're not. If you will make peace with where you are, hear us. Your life has caused you to ask. You have done step one. It's in place. Source has answered and is readied for you whatever it is that you are wanting. Your work is only to find a way to somehow allow rather than resist. And it is our promise to you that as soon as today, evidence of your decreased resistance will begin showing in your experience. So, no matter what indications you're getting, if you change the vibration that is the reason you're getting them, you have to get different things. Your vibration is the reason that life is happening the way that it is. But if you will reach for a feeling of relief from where you are, and you want it enough that you find thoughts that give you the relief, and you think those thoughts of relief long enough that they're easy to think rather than hard to think, then what happens is you affect a vibrational difference within you, and then life has to give you different things back. It's law. It has to. You want to talk about some things? So,
Abraham, there are some issues that come up in the three-step creative process having to do with deservability, like somewhere in that framework of shifting vibration and still dealing day to day with the status quo of what has been. How does someone get beyond their history, their family expectations, the image of oneself that one has that's accumulated, that seems to argue all the time for keeping things the way they've always been? If you want to make a quantum shift, it's that escrow you're talking, that place.
Quantum shifts aren't good. They're not even possible, because you can't set your radio dial on one thing and receive what's being transmitted from another tower. In other words, you have to train your vibration into vibrational alignment. Your words were perfect, because they are issues, because people keep talking about what is. You have to stop telling the same old story and tell a different story. But you're right. It's not easy to tell a different story when this story is consuming, when it's all around you, because your physical senses observe it so fully.
That's right.
So what you have to do is take an emotional journey. You have to care more about how you feel than what you're saying. You start guiding your sentences by the way they feel when you say them, not by the reality of them or the truth of them. You care so much that you feel good. Your goal, your ultimate goal, is to see this moment in time through the eyes of Source, not through the eyes of pinched off from Source.
Which is everything is possible.
Everything is possible.
So how do you have any processes or any ways of strengthening that new vibration in the face of evidence to the contrary, so that one can move into that space of receiving it, being as though one is already in that place?
Yes, we do.
It manifests.
Yes, we do, because words don't teach. It's only life experience that teaches. And law of attraction is very responsive to your vibration. It will show you what's going on now. We were visiting with a woman on the telephone one day who said, she wasn't having any of us. She wanted a fortune telling. And she didn't want to be the creator of her own reality. She was not having a good conversation with us. And she asked almost the identical question that you just asked. If this and this and this is happening in my experience, how could I possibly find something that is different from that? And so as you realize that it doesn't matter what is, it only matters what vibration you're offering, then you understand that you can get something different than what is as soon as you take your attention from what is. So in that effort, we said to her, let's talk about blue glass. And she said, are you crazy? And we said, we really want to talk about blue glass. And she said, why would I want to talk about blue glass? And we said, because you don't already have a lot of negative issues stored up about blue glass. It's sort of a free floating thought to you. And then, against her wishes, we continued to speak about blue glass. We described the densities, the colors, the different things that could be made from it. She didn't enjoy the conversation, and so we said, let's talk about butterflies. Again, why would I want to do that? We said, because you don't have anything against butterflies. They come in all colors and all sizes. They live in different places. They are beautiful to see. She still wasn't having any of it, so we said, let's talk about feathers. She felt the same way about feathers as she did the other, but she was not getting our point. But we knew law of attraction would help her to get the point if she would just focus with us long enough. So we held her in conversation about blue glass and about feathers and about butterflies for about a little over a minute each. And then she hung up, and Jerry and Esther, they were in California at the time, went down to La Jolla for lunch. Jerry had not heard the conversation, and Esther barely hears it as it's happening. And so Esther had a dim relationship with what had transpired. And so they parked the car, got out of the car on their way down to the restaurant, and Esther had an overwhelming impulse to enter this building, a shop, in front of her. Now that's not altogether odd. Esther likes shops, and Jerry was not surprised, even though they did have an appointment. And so Jerry followed her into the shop, and she is moving to the back, into the back, into the back, deep into the shop, where she discovered the most magnificent wall of blue glass she had ever seen. Esther did not think anything of it. Blue glass is really not her thing, and she appreciated it to some extent. And then she said, all right, I'm ready to go, and off they went. They had a lovely lunch, and then they went down to the water's edge to enjoy the beautiful ocean. And on their way across this long lawn, very wide, beautiful lawn that spreads out before the beach, Jerry and Esther were surrounded by a flurry of butterflies that was so intense they had to stop talking to keep from eating them. And then across the way comes a little boy. He is about 4 years old. He is coming directly to Esther. She knows he is coming. She knows she does not know him, but he is coming to her as if he does. And when he got to her, he held up a feather and said, I have found this for you. So in a very short time, after focusing upon 3 subjects that Esther had no resistance about,
she manifested.
by the time the little boy handed her the feather, she remembered the conversation. So what we're saying to you is the way you get something that you currently doubt is by reaching for a thought that has less doubt in it. And when there is less doubt in it, you feel a little bit of relief. And when you find a little relief from doubt that you might call hoping, when you find a little optimism that replaces your pessimism, what happens is your vibration shifts enough that the universe yields it to you. And if you've done it on purpose, and only if you've done it on purpose, if you've focused on purpose and felt the relief, then when the evidence comes, you have something tangible that you can see that you are empowered. Then you know, well, if I can do it with blue glass and butterflies and feathers, maybe I can do it with boyfriends and money and work.
Right. And then the resistance that comes around deservability, where we can get stuck, or I find myself getting stuck in transmitting a clear enough vibration.
The only way, we can't zap you with a worthy stick. We would if we could, but we can't. The way you feel deservability is by having a thought, finding relief, and then watching the universe yield to you. And pretty soon, you begin to feel so deserving because you have proved to yourself that it wasn't about some worthiness that you needed to prove. It was about vibrational alignment that you would not consciously achieve. You see, when you start putting together the thought and the feeling and the manifestation, now you are empowered, and the law of attraction and all that is will never let you down. It won't take favorites. It won't be squirrely on you. It's an equal opportunity law. In other words, when you find the feeling of something and you practice it until you're stable in it, it has to yield to you. And the only way we've ever known that anyone could feel worthy, look at people that others have given them things. Often in giving to others, they do not feel more and more worthy. They feel more and more uneasy about it, because what you're saying with your gift is, I give this to you because I see you cannot get it for yourself. Where when you demonstrate through the power of your knowing If you have children and you are feeling ornery, say to them, I'm not tuned in, I'm feeling ornery, and I can feel that I'm out of sync with who I am. Excuse me, I'm going to go off and think some different thoughts and see if I can't get tuned back into who I am. And when you do, and you feel better, show back up. Be an example of someone who makes sure that you're managing this gap between who you really are and who you're being in this moment, depending upon what you're giving your attention to. The only thing that worthiness is about is being a vibrational match to what you've put into your vibrational escrow. You see, when you line up, it must come. And we don't know of anything that makes you. Jerry and Esther can be driving along and they can have been making a comment about something, and then the universe yields it to them, and there is nothing that makes them feel more bathed in the energy of well-being than to see how responsive the universe is to their each and every request.
So it's not about deserving, it's not about struggle, it's about receiving.
Good words. And receiving is about vibrational alignment with desire.
Okay, that's great.
It is.
Thank you so much.
Yes, indeed.
Before we continue on with today's episode, I'd like to take a quick moment to tell you about our sponsor, HelloFresh. I'm sure by now you have at least heard of this hugely popular food delivery service that makes cooking much less of a headache with its pre-portioned ingredient recipes and simple step-by-step preparation instructions. What you may not know is their delicious recipes are ready in 15 minutes or less and are 25% cheaper than takeout. And now, in addition to convenient meals, it's easier than ever to skip that extra grocery store run by adding snacks, sides, and more to your weekly order. The HelloFresh Market has a curated selection of over 100 items. As someone who can sometimes suffer from decision fatigue due to all the projects and demanding work on my plate, I personally love the convenience of having my meal plate decisions already figured out for me with something healthy, fast, and fresh. And if you're interested in trying out HelloFresh for yourself, as a listener of this podcast, you'll get 50% off your order plus free shipping by going to hellofresh.com/positivehead50 and using the code positivehead50.
So when we understand and we truly know it, that we are extensions of source energy, then that is what our vibration is, and that is what the creation will mirror back to us. And it really is such a beautiful thing how we're born into this contrast, because it really does serve us well. It helps us to make discernments. I think one of those places it really helps is in learning to listen to your intuition. I have a little story. When I was younger, I worked in a restaurant, and a guy that had worked there left to go work at a really nice restaurant where he was making a ton of money. And he called me up one day and he said, "Hey, we're going to hire a couple new servers. Would you like to join?" I was like, "Yeah, absolutely." So got all set up. The day I was going to buy the outfit I needed to go to work, I was driving around and I just kept having these doubts. I had been really excited about going to work at this new place, and I hadn't yet told the place I was already working that I was leaving. And I felt really good about it. So I wasn't like having a doubt by myself, but I was having this feeling, this like screaming at me almost, like this is not a good idea. And at the time, I wasn't sure if I was just doubting or what the case was. But it turned out that that was my intuition telling me that this is not a good idea, because what happened, I decided against it. I called him up and said, "Thanks, but no thanks. I'm going to stick with where I'm at." A couple weeks later, he wound up doing something, got fired, and everyone that he brought on was fired with him. And if you ever worked in a restaurant before, it's not like you can leave a restaurant and then come back. They're not very, very good about that usually. So I would have been totally screwed had I not listened to that intuition and had not understood the difference between my own doubt and listening to a higher message. And there was some part of me at that time where I got it. And that was one of those things that over time I look back to and I think, yeah, that really helped me understand the difference between having this doubt within myself and something that I'm being told from outside of myself saying, hey, this is not a good idea. It just feels different because the situation to me in my own consciousness felt good. So to have this other thought was just kind of out of nowhere. Maybe that helps some of you. Maybe it doesn't. Who knows? That helped me. So I love how Abraham talked about making peace with where you are, just being completely okay with where you are, and thinking more harmonious thoughts when you can catch yourself thinking a thought that is not so harmonious, to change your vibration so the universe can respond to that new vibration. And doing that a little bit and a little bit every single day, telling ourselves a different story. It's okay if that story is different than what it seems to be or what it appears to be. It just matters how we feel. So if what something appears to be doesn't make us feel good, then think a different thought about it. And yes, that's hard to do, but the more we do it, the more we practice, the easier it does get. So I love the idea of going general, like she talked about, with thinking about something that you have absolutely zero resistance to whatsoever, and think about that, because it at least gets you off the plane of thinking the negative thought, thinking about blue glass. And it'd be interesting, little experiment maybe, just to think about something that has absolutely zero emotion, zero energy behind it whatsoever, and to really concentrate on that thought and test the universe and see if it shows up for you. I love the idea of testing the universe, because when you see these things show up and you see that the universe is conspiring with you, working with you, always helping you, it does remind you of your worth and just how immensely powerful we really are. And we can remember that everything is possible, absolutely everything. And all of that life experience that we gain when we do this kind of stuff, that will teach us. And we will doubt less and less. And we will be completely empowered, be completely bathed in abundance and love and harmony. Because we are great and powerful beings. We just forgot, like Julia Cannon likes to say. I am out of here for the day, everyone. I'm going to leave you with a song. This is Fia, Time for Greatness. Until next time, love you all.
I am looking at my life. It's better than a dream. So many things I prayed for are now reality. I'm traveling the road, sharing my medicine. A conscious creator, supporting healing. The world is a wild and beautiful place. We are constantly evolving as a human race. I truly believe this is a time for greatness. Everyone is invited to embody the light, living life as love and shining bright. The shackles of fear breaking once and for all. This is a song for all the rainbow warriors, the brilliant ones leading the way. Hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, ho. Hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, ho. Hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, ho. Hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, ho. Hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, ho. Hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, ho. I had no other choice. There was only truth. When I opened my eyes, I was brand new. I am forever free. of infinite wisdom. This is where I play. The world is a wild and beautiful place. We are constantly evolving as a human race. I truly believe this is a time for greatness. Everyone is invited to embody the light, living life as love and shining bright. The shackles of fear breaking once and for all. Oh, this is a song for all the rainbow warriors, the brilliant ones leading the way. Hey, 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 ho. Hey, 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 ho. Hey, 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 ho. Hey, 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 ho. Hey, 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 ho. Hey, 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 ho. Unity consciousness weaving across our planet, remembering we are rising as one. The world is a wild and beautiful place. We are constantly evolving as a human race. I truly believe this is a time for greatness. Everyone is invited to embody the light, living life as love and shining bright. The shackles of fear breaking once and for all. Oh, this is a song for all the rain